night is dark, but for the stars and the stories and those who listen, thank you for listening. And a special thanks to our Ko-Fi supporters, Sky, Maelstrom Star, Flowerfield, Xbox Unofficial, and Kane, for the starlight you shine. I see it from here. If you'd be so kind, please go on and leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube streams, and join us on our Discord server to speak with us and tell us your own tales from your own worlds. Go on and take a look there at our LinkTree to find maps and portraits as well. Our background music is by Marika Shantz, and our intro music is by Ben McElroy. Our official art is by our very own Corey, voice of Virgil, at Crow Queen on Twitter. Now, come and join me by the fire and look up at the sky. See the stars? They're still telling us their story. They're on the train again, if this counts. Less a train, more a carriage, a caravan. Wandering, like the winds, like dandelion seeds. Where are they heading? To find Ox, taken back from Georgette. He's been working, tinkering, building something to keep safe. And after that, they've got a map star-marked, reflecting the skies. They'll head there, to one of those stars. Why? They can't say. The vein wants to know more, so it must be kept from them. Sound logic, maybe. I don't know. Can you hear me? Guessing you don't have a cigar?
Not at the moment, no. Sorry, just a bit of a surprise to see you here.
Lo looks around at your surroundings, peers over the edge of the caravan, looks back to you, nods.
Can I roll an insight check?
Yeah.
Is he also surprised that he's here?
Yeah.
Thank you.
What'd you get?
7.
Lo does seem a little surprised. Peers over, his eyebrows raise. They lean back and kind of give a little shrug. Funny train.
Okay, it's not a train. Though, how'd you get here?
I live here.
I don't think you do live here.
Are you part of the winds?
No.
So how long exactly have you been up here?
Their eyes narrow. You can tell they're thinking hard about this. I don't know.
1 second. Do you mind if I invite a friend up here?
No.
Keen sends a message to Henry. If you're not sleeping right now, do you want to come up here real quick?
Not combat related, right?
I don't think I have spell slots anymore.
Well, message is a cantrip.
It's not message, it's sending.
Oh!
They send down the vibe of a big shrug.
Yeah.
Lo glances over at you, Kian. Are we fighting?
I'm not fighting.
Wait,
Did you hear Henry?
Yeah?
But that was in my head. Are you reading my thoughts right now?
No.
Insight check?
Yeah.
18?
They seem thrown off by the question. Why would Kian think that? Their tail twitches a bit.
Just that you shouldn't normally be able to hear that. We're not fighting, don't worry. I think Henry was just nervous.
Glad to see you're not in a combat situation.
Lo looks over as Henry pokes his head up to the rooftop. Hi.
Hello.
I just thought... I don't think you've met before.
No. No, I don't believe so. Just heard about in passing. Nice to meet you. Henry... Just Henry's fine.
Holy shit.
Lo holds out a hand.
Henry will lift himself up over the edge of the caravan to come and shake Lo's hand.
It's getting pretty crowded up here, but you all... Lo scooches over as Henry approaches, and you all manage to fit. It's a little cozy. Lo gives you a long look, and over to the two of you. Back to you, Henry. You all finding stars?
Well, we haven't found any more. But it's all a bit confusing.
Are you seeing something we cannot?
They point to Henry. Are you wearing the necklace with your soul gem?
Yeah, but it's been tucked inside his vest.
They point towards Henry's torso. Kian, do you have the stone with you?
Yeah, it's
Where
in
is
their
it?
pocket.
They gesture to Kian's pocket.
Is that a star? Oh.
I think so.
Well, it seems very accurate for an I think so.
So it is.
Well, I don't know. I'm not an astrologer.
Lo shrugs. Neither am I. Lo settles back a bit. Sure you don't have a scar on you?
Just 1 second.
What the fuck?
Am I stupid? Did you say scar just now?
A cigar.
Cigar.
Oh, I also heard scars just in my pocket right now. Don't worry about
Well,
it.
it's red.
Kian gestures for his bag of holding that I think Virgil still has.
Oh, yeah. He'll pass it over.
I think there might be some left in here. And they think about it. I think that there was still a box. Say that there's still some cigars in there. And we'll pull one out. Like, this one look good. I don't know anything about cigars.
Lo takes it with a nod, and as they raise it to their lips, you see a spark light, and a tendril of smoke floats away in the air.
Like magic?
Yeah, one could say that.
As a practicer of the arcane, did he make any movement or say any incantation that is typical for summoning a flame?
Not that you noticed.
Okay.
Kian stares at the carriage rooftop for a minute, and then looks to Lo. I really mean this in a non-offensive way, but, what are you?
They take a long draw from the cigar, blow a few smoke rings into the air, and when they look back to you, Kian, Lo has a deeply sad expression on his face. He shrugs.
Do you not remember?
Maybe not.
Have you been doing this for a long time? Appearing on top of trains and carriages?
Usually just trains.
Does beg the question of how did you get up here? I mean, it's not uncommon necessarily for folks to stow away before it actually leaves the station or something like that, but I don't think we've come to a stop, so at what point did you...
Are you connected to us?
I'm listening.
Were you hired by my parents?
No, just listening.
Where are you when you're not on the rooftops of our train cars?
Nowhere. That's where I am.
Wait, do you mean nowhere? Like the place?
No. The trains are my home.
Part of the ley line system?
The ley lines.
Harder than me, but have you and I spoken outside of rooftops? Outside of train cars?
No. I think you've seen this from Lo before. They do seem generally perturbed by the questioning.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to be hiding anything from you.
Okay.
You get the impression that they are genuinely struggling to answer, but making an effort to.
Okay. And have you, in your travels, seen things like this before? And he will reach up and gesture to his earring. You looked at your dice tray.
I'm gonna have you roll
Oh, what am
a
I rolling?
wisdom. No, intelligence.
Intelligence check. Wow, are you kidding me? 5.
Lo just twists around to pull one of the river rocks out of their pocket and kind of presents it to you. It's not the same.
No, but then I suppose no two stars are either.
No.
Would you mind if I looked at it with magic? And can...
You guys have to kiss now.
We are Kiki. Kira gestures towards the river rock star.
Lo looks over at you, and it's like they didn't realize you were here. They flinch back a bit, and then nod and offer the stone your way.
I cast detect magic on it.
You do not detect any hint of magic on it.
Look at Lo.
You do detect magic coming from Lo.
Yeah, can I get a read on it? Is it like just his whole person?
Yes. Surprise! I know this isn't a school, but it seems like Feywild's type magic.
Kira will pass the starstone back.
Lo takes it reverently, places it back in his pocket.
Kian will dig through their bag of holding, and they're gonna pull out that letter that they found at the doorway in Freya from the seeing the stars and whatever, and the don't go further and whatever and whatever. And they're just gonna kind of like look at Lo for a second and gently slide it over the rooftop towards them. This wasn't you, right? Do you know who wrote this?
Lo glances over at it. I didn't write that.
Do you know who did?
Can you roll an intelligence check for me, please?
Oh, an intelligence check?
Hey,
Or wisdom.
maybe
I
you'll do
think.
better than me.
Intelligence is better.
Then yeah.
Bro.
So I rolled a natural 1.
Okay.
I just really want that to be a good roll. That's fine.
Do you have inspiration?
No.
Lo stares at it for another moment or two, and you see a sparkle in their eyes as they well up with tears. They shake their head.
Was it addressed to you?
They look at it again. That's not my name. Should we see how Ox is doing? Let's go back a bit in time. We're back in Dawning. Dalen and Dimitri have offered to sneak you off a little bit earlier and a little bit easier, while the other members of your party here speak with Umbra about their potential plans for dealing with the Nevane situation. They will lead you without much explanation, just a little further away from the Goodlove estate. If you'll come with me, I can explain once we get back, but for now, eyes and ears and all that. Would you mind joining me back in my room?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Not like that.
I joke.
I didn't really think it was that sort of proposition. It did cross my mind, but I didn't think it was that offer.
Alright, follow me, please. And there is a bit of a smile as he turns away and starts to lead you back to the forge and back down the stairs to his room/workshop. He closes the door behind you, turns back around, gestures to one of the semi-cleared seats. Why don't you sit down? I can explain what is happening.
He takes a seat.
Dimitri leans back against one of the tables. So as I mentioned before, Georgette and I have a bit of history with each other. I owe her my life, so aside from the fact that you're all perfectly likable people, I feel I owe it to her to look out for you.
I don't know what to say, really. I guess I appreciate it.
He both nods and waves his hand, like waving your appreciation away. I think, to be completely honest with you, your friends are potentially going to make a stupid decision here. You should not stay in Donning.
He nods a little. Yeah, don't always make the best decisions, but I am worried about them.
He nods, turns around, and places a kettle on just a circular device that lights up with a faint glow of magic. You hear already the sound of water just beginning to boil. We're going to do our best to convince them to follow suit with us, I guess. I think your best course of action is to get far away from here and do something about dealing with Scar, is it?
He nods again. Yeah, that was, I guess, more than I bargained for last time.
I have contacted Georgette, explained some things, and she thinks it might be best if you head back home for the time being.
He looks almost relieved when you say the word home. I think I'd like that.
Good. Because I already told her we are going to send you her way.
He nods again. Will I have time to say goodbye to my friends until I see them again, or?
I think... He pauses, and it's pretty clear that he is stalling. He turns back around as the water starts to boil, sets out two mugs. Looks back to you. I think we should get going.
Alright.
I won't pretend to fully understand the nature of your relationship with Scar, but from what I've heard in my occasional communications with Georgette, it has not been particularly, well, good.
Yeah, it's been a while since we got along. He glances over to the desk that he sat at before. Is the feather still there?
The feather is close by. It doesn't take you long to see it. It is just sticking out of a jar of like random, pens and pencils and tools.
He looks back. Do you think you could send along a letter to my friends at least, so they know I'm alright?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, then I'm fine with leaving whenever.
Good. Turns back, pours some coffee into each mug, hands one to you. It's going to be a long night. Your friend Mr. Goodlove gave our names to Navain, so unfortunately, to avoid suspicion, Dalen, who is known throughout Donning as a musician, is going to stay in plain sight, and I, well, not known around Donning, I'm going to go with you until I am needed back here. I should warn you, I do not often leave my room, so if I am jumpy, that is why. Don't let it alarm you.
Well, might make two of us that are jumpy then.
Wonderful. He knocks back the coffee, despite the heat, with impressive speed. So, Bird is coming with us. He gestures to the little birdhouse above the door, and you see a canary peek her head out. We're going to be underground for some of it. We're heading to a transportation circle in the oceans, but it will bring us somewhere safe.
I think I can handle that. I don't really do well in enclosed spaces anymore.
Well, I don't do well in open spaces, so we're both going to have to deal with it.
Fair enough. He looks at the feather again, before glancing back at Dimitri.
What is it?
that feather was here last time. I think my sister left it.
Then it was more yours than mine.
He'll get up and try to pick up the feather out of the jar.
We will, wisdom save, please.
We love to collect cursed scar items.
Yeah.
Skydoms.
It's a hobby. Yeah, that was a wisdom save.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
I rolled 2, so don't worry.
It was a 9.
9. You feel a sort of resistance from yourself, almost. Like you don't feel a voice or a force or anything like that. But you push through it easily and pick it up.
He turns it over in his hand to inspect it. And then he'll tuck it into his hat.
Very dashing.
Thanks.
And we have checked and it is not magical. And you should probably look after that sort of thing in general in your position.
Yeah, I recently learned I should have been looking a little harder, I guess.
Dimitri casts you a bit of a worried glance. And this is why I'm taking you to the expert. Finish your coffee and we should go. I'm afraid that I can't do much as far as helping you with the enclosed spaces, but would you like Bird?
He glances up to Bird. Yeah, I'd take a little companion.
Dimitri looks up and gives her a sharp nod, and she flutters down and lands on Ox's shoulder and lets out a little 5-note song.
He gives her some little scritches.
Dimitri smiles as he watches the two of you. And then the smile drops away. Drink your coffee? Let's go.
Ox will take a few big sips of coffee and pull out his notebook with some paper and a pen. He just scribbles the word nowhere on a small slip of paper before folding it and giving it to Dimitri. And then he downs the rest of his coffee. If you could make sure that it gets to Henry, he'll know.
Alright, we'll do. Tucks it away. And you all head off down the tunnels. Despite his dismissal, Dimitri seems fairly concerned with and, I guess, invested in Ox's comfort. It is true there's not much he can do for Ox's fear of small spaces, but he checks back in, keeps up a quick pace. You keep this up for a few hours, and you see a few twists and turns, forks in the cave, and know that this must be a system, not just a single pathway. Dimitri walks it with confidence. Bird gives the occasional little song at your ear. Eventually you start to feel that you have passed the border of the island. Whether you're above ground or underground, the oceans permeate. And it slows your journey. It's harder to move as quickly, it's harder to think as quickly here. But after about an hour or so of traveling through the oceans themselves, there's an end to the small incline. And you find yourself just out in the woods around Phoenix Island, and in a small glade. In the center, there's a large flat rock that appears to be there naturally, just part of the geography, but etched in it is the arcane symbol of a transportation circle. So we're going to go visit Zorjet now. Like I said, this is going to bring us somewhere safe, and by the time anything here discovers that magic has been cast, it will be long gone, so don't concern yourself with that.
He nods, warily looking at the transportation circle.
It's Dalen's work, I can promise you it is good.
Yeah, I've always been told you can't use those out in the ocean.
Dimitri shrugs. From what I heard, you don't pay that much attention to what you're supposed to do.
I suppose that's true. He gives another nod. Alright, well, let's get to it then.
Bird flutters off your shoulder and lands on the circle. And Dimitri steps up onto the rock. Holds out a hand out to you, Ox.
He'll take it and step up.
There's another little trill of song and a flash of light. those of you riding on your caravan, Lo, who's been looking up at the sky, the clear night, the stars, takes another draw from the cigar. Sorry, Lo would never smoke a cigarette. And just falls quiet.
So, I somewhat apologise for all of the interrogation, but I was a little curious. You'd mentioned you were listening in. Is there something in particular you're listening for, or some sort of objective, grand goal you have in mind?
Used to.
Used to? Did you accomplish your goal then? Or give up?
Can you roll a history check for me, please?
Why is it so hard? Dirty 20.
Lo looks at you again with that narrow-eyed, thoughtful look that you've seen them do a few times. Didn't end well.
I see. So, just kept the habit then?
Yeah.
Why are you listening to us then? What's so interesting about us?
You talk to me?
Does no one else do that?
No.
Ever?
Not for a long time.
Sorry about that.
And Ox gave me a star.
Yeah.
Are you collecting stars then?
I'm trying.
But not necessarily. Henry taps at the point in his vest where the pendant for his gem is. These sorts of stars?
I don't steal.
But they could be given, then. Oh, don't look at me like that, Virgil. I'm not planning on handing everything over.
It's... Well, I was going to answer your question, yes, they can be. Although I don't know that I would take it lightly.
I just got it myself, so it's a little early.
Anything can be given.
What do you want to do with them?
Can you roll a wisdom check, please?
Oh god!
Please.
They're a fae with wisdom and intelligence check powers.
Oh!
18!
18?
Yeah!
Look you go!
Good job, Pia.
Not very wise, you see.
For God's sake.
Lo answers, and as they do, they seem almost thrown off or confused by their own words. Grow the garden.
The garden? What do you mean by that?
He lowers the cigar. He's trying to help.
Can you tell us what you were trying to grow?
Reflections.
Are you trying to help stars get back to the sky? Or do you want them here?
Goodness, Now, how old are you? I'm 27. We'll start the conversation off.
I don't know.
Did Lo look like they were going to answer Kane's question before that?
Again, they seem to be struggling too.
What's wrong with your memories, man?
I think it's composition.
Sorry for all the questions.
Questions are good.
Don't think we asked quite enough of them the first few times.
That's probably because I wasn't here.
Mr. Inquisitive.
If you're a gardener, would you have any interest in this? And Kira is gonna pull out one of those strange mushrooms from his back that were growing around the pool in Freya. I believe is where he got them.
Lo reaches out and takes it. They'll, with their other hand, crush the end of the cigar, put out the flame. And they hold this mushroom in their palm, and you watch it start to spread. The mycelium grow with impressive speed from the body of the mushroom across their hands and palms, and up their arms, sprouting more along the way.
Are you okay?
They look back at you. They smile. Push up their sleeve a little further as it continues to grow.
Is it like... I hate to ask this.
It is on top of their skin.
Okay.
That's not hurting you, is it?
No.
I know you said you didn't quite know what you are, but are you a celestial?
No.
Are you sure?
I don't have a star.
Did you used to?
She wasn't mine. They lean over the edge of the caravan, as sort of frighteningly far, but seem to keep perfect balance and just press their hand to the corner
The mushroom
of the
hand?
carriage. Yes.
God.
You see the mycelium spread down further, down one of the wheels even as it is turning, and onto the ground, where it takes root. And Lo smiles as it spreads behind you all.
Are you sure this is a good idea?
They swing themselves back up and pluck the original mushroom that you handed them from their palm and hand it back to you.
Can I look over the edge? 2 questions. Is the carriage still covered in mushroom?
It's not covered. It just goes down in a line from one of the corners.
It's not spreading from that line over the side of the carriage, is it?
Wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing.
Are we sure it wouldn't be a bad thing?
They're protective, right?
This is not our U-Haul, you guys.
Did we just create a new haven now?
I think it is. It is spreading.
If I glance back at the mushroom trail we just left, is that spreading? What is that doing?
It doesn't look like it's spreading, and as you watch it, you can see Lo is also looking that way. And the smile fades a little bit.
Have you planted these anywhere else? You seem like you knew what to do with this one.
It appears so.
I think they need a certain kind of energy to grow.
Is that why you're here?
Why we're here?
Why you're here?
Why I'm here?
Yeah.
I suppose? I'm not exactly.
We were not going to use Kira as fuel to make mushrooms.
No, definitely not that. I don't think I've got the juice. Spark? Whatever you want to call it.
I would love to send Marigold to go look where the mushrooms were dropped. Keen does glance over at Lizzie.
Lizzie doesn't appear to have noticed. Marigold flies over. Indeed, the mushrooms have stopped spreading and just formed a mushroom ring. And she does notice that the weight of the oceans is lighter there.
What are they?
When Keen pulls back from Marigold to the carriage, does the weight of the oceans feel lighter here?
It does.
It feels lighter up here. It doesn't feel so much like the oceans anymore. Do you guys feel that?
Yeah.
Keen will settle on the carriage roof, kind of lay back. It's okay if you don't know what you are. I think I don't know what I am either. Maybe we can figure it out.
Lil looks over to you. You're the falcon, aren't you?
I don't think so. But I also don't not think so. I don't think I was.
Do you think you could do the same thing with the mushrooms?
Keen kind of looks over to Lo. Kind of got the feeling that would be bad for Celestials. Not that I think I am one, but if I was partially one, wouldn't it hurt me? They point to the mushrooms.
No.
Do you want to try?
He looks around the group. Do you think I should?
I think the chances of something going wrong are fairly low.
Oh, you shouldn't have said that.
Keen reaches out.
What do we do if... Okay.
Don't eat it, though.
They just gently pick one from the side and hold it in their hands.
Doesn't appear to be changing in any way.
What if they just look at it really hard and telepathically say grow?
Nothing happens.
Maybe you need to bleed on it.
I don't think I want to do that. Why do you think I'm the Falcon?
I think, if I may add a little context, perhaps because of the listening, you might be somewhat aware, but we met a creature being celestial, vampire, many things in Freya that also seem to be the Falcon.
That was her.
There are two.
No.
She's gone.
Their eyes fall to your pocket.
Mm-hmm. Did you know her?
They nod.
Was she the one who wrote that letter?
Shake their head.
So they're not two falcons, but Kian is the falcon, and the she that we met in Freya was also the falcon.
Lo nods.
And they're the same falcon?
Lo looks again to the pocket where Kian keeps the stone. No.
Are they both underneath the umbrella of the constellation the Falcon?
Lo's head tilts to the side.
What's an umbrella?
His tail swishes a bit back and forth. I don't understand.
You're saying that she's not here anymore, but I kind of took her place?
Maybe. You're hers.
She said that, but I don't really understand what that means.
Lo nods.
Do you know what it means?
They shake their head.
And she said we were kin, right? We were related.
You and me?
Well, that wasn't what I was asking, but I'm curious to know.
Lo reaches up and takes off their hat. So you can see their ears a little more clearly. Wriggles them back and forth. Kind of glances around Kian.
Yes. Has little ears for a second.
Lo's eyes widen. The pupils shrink very small.
We're gaslighting Lo.
They're not real.
I know. They lean back. Their tail's still swishing a bit. They put their hat back on. Pick up the cigar and it's smoking again before it reaches their mouth.
They snap and the ears vanish. But do you know if me and the Falcon are related?
She doesn't not.
Is she related to the Akos?
Take a draw from the cigar again. And lean over and point up. You look up at a familiar sky full of stars. Since your time in the Feywilds, since your time being dragged through the Feywilds, you find it to be much more familiar than you did before, like a book that you've memorized. And you do notice, very faintly, just overhead, a new one flickering. And when you look back, Lo is gone. Ox, in just a blink of an eye, you are transported from this heavy, dense wood to a land with an open desert sky. The sun is set, but the moons are out, casting the area with a dim light that to your eyes is almost bright. And you know exactly where you are after a moment looking around. Just a little bit away, like over the rise of this small hill, you can see the beginning of the metal graveyard that you spent much of your adolescence making mischief in. You see the twisted bars and gears and engine pieces and metal poking up from the ground, the tumbleweeds, the cacti, the vegetation that manages to fight its way to survival here in the desert, all spreading over it. Dimitri sort of winces, sighs heavily. He has a heavy coat on, like a hood that he lifts up over his head. All right, you probably know better than I do how to get to Georgette's from here. Would you like to lead the way?
Yeah, I can do that.
I'll be honest, I can't see incredibly well, but well enough.
Yeah, just stick close by.
Right.
And he'll sort of guide him through the graveyard of metal. There's a few like large pieces that you have to sort of step around in just the right way with cacti growing. If you don't know where to put your foot, it's easy to sort of slip up. Not far away, sort of tucked away within the rocks, once you start looking, is the entrance to a cave.
Before you get there, actually, Dimitri, who has been walking predeterminedly right beside you, sort of hunched over, eyes downcast, does stop next to one of the more put together pieces of scrap metal. It looks like an old vehicle, rusted and partially destroyed. And he does pause and reach out and just place a hand on one of the metal bars. Did you ever figure these out?
How do you mean?
And what they are?
Well, I tried researching when I was in somewhere, but I didn't really find a whole lot of information. Sort of looks like a vehicle of some sort, like you could pile a few people in there if you needed to, put it on some wheels and go somewhere.
George would never let me touch anything here.
He laughs at it a little. Yeah, she likes the way things are outside.
He laughs in return. Well, if you ever figure it out, let me know. I'm curious. Anyways, Teeth keeps going towards the entrance to the cave. What is the entrance like?
There's got to be like just a door.
Yeah.
Like it's been set into the rock, and maybe there's a couple of holes that don't quite cover all of the entrance with like some scrap wood. But there is a door.
Before you get to it, it swings open. You both turn your gazes down to meet Georgette's eyes. Would you like to describe her?
I can do that. She's an old goblin woman, about 3 feet tall, green skin. One of her eyes is a little milky. Her eyebrows have clearly been singed off many times, and there are just sort of gaps there. The hair always trying to grow back in. She's got this wild white hair that's also singed at some of the tips, and some of it just doesn't quite sit right. She wears like a large apron, which holds all of her tools and has like a big pocket in it. Over top, just a simple shirt and some pants. Sometimes she likes to wear a skirt. And if she's going out, she'll wear boots, but usually in the cave, she's just barefoot.
She's silent for a moment, just looking you over. Looks behind you for a moment to Dimitri, who gives a little nod, and then she looks back to you. Heard you're working for Good Love?
I wouldn't really say working. I wouldn't really say working. Working with.
Thought I raised you better than that. Get inside.
He sheepishly ducks his head as the door is not quite tall enough for him to stand up as he enters.
Dimitri's quick to follow behind, also ducking in underneath the door. You find yourself surrounded by the typical clutter of George's home. A wanted poster of the Clipburn crew still hangs in the back beside her bed. She turns on a light a little brighter, kind of takes you in again. I heard you've been having some troubles.
Yeah, a lot of troubles recently. More trouble than I thought I got myself into.
Your sister out here?
Yeah, usually the source of my troubles.
She rolls her eyes, and she opens her arms. You come here.
He'll get down on one knee and give her a big hug.
She slaps you on the back a little bit too hard. We'll get it sorted out.
Yeah, well, that's sort of the area of one of the things I need sorted out.
Is there more?
Yeah, more than that.
She steps back. Alright, Spill, what is it?
Well, seems I've got some magical tattoos that I wasn't really expecting to be magical. Scar's had some sort of hand in it. It's how she's tracking me and controlling me.
I don't think that girl needs a tattoo to track you.
Probably not, but she made me fall off a train of my own will not too long ago.
Eyes widen a bit at that. She crosses her arms. I don't know nothing about tattoos.
What about spells or some way to charm the ink?
I know about building things. I've been working, we'll figure something out. Tattoos, though, I can't make any promises there.
Yeah, well, I figured we'd get to building something.
Which one's the magic one? She glances over at the tattoo she can see.
Yes.
Just throw a dart at a wall.
He sort of grimaces a little. Well, it's more than one.
Alright, which ones?
He'll loosen up his shirt some more, so that she can see the large tattoo on his chest. You know, sort of pull it down so she can see the arm tattoo. Turn around, show her the back tattoo. What else was magic?
The freckles.
Oh, fuck, the freckles.
Yeah, the gayest ones.
Yeah, the gayest one. God damn it. And he'll shrug his shirt back on before turning back around to face her. Lastly, point to his freckles on his face. I really got myself into some deep shit.
She reaches forward and very painlessly, just with the back of her hand, like, smacks Ox on the cheek. What the hell have you been doing?
Well, I had a friend in prison that was doing tattoos, and I didn't really think anything of it. It didn't strike me as weird that he was helping me so much.
Alright, well, you got the blueprints?
Yeah. He'll reach into his pocket. I think I said his back left pocket. That's where he keeps it. And he'll pull out his blueprints. Unfold them for her.
She takes them, walks over to her workbench and shoves some things aside, places it down, sticks a rock, some random metal piece, a wrench on it to keep it open. We best get started, shouldn't we? Unless you need some rest. You had a long journey?
I'll be fine. You know me, don't sleep a whole lot.
Yeah, sure, you sleep some.
Yeah, well, I'd rather get started now than later.
Alright. She glances over your shoulder to Dimitri. You can help us out, boy? And he stands up. Yes, ma'am. And steps over to join you.
Get Boyd.
Daddy is but a boy.
To this
Daddy
woman,
got boy.
To this woman, everyone is a boy.
everyone is but a boy.
Yeah. Her constant veneer of annoyed humor vanishes as she sets to work on finding all the right supplies for this thing. She and Dimitri, you see her communicate with Dimitri like you haven't really seen her communicate with anyone before. There's an ease to it and a language to it that shows they both know the same scope of what they're doing. And you can tell that they must have worked together in the past. And of course, Ox, you can easily blend yourself in with this as well, as someone who has worked with Georgette. Dimitri stays through the night, but the next day, after he gets a couple hours of sleep, I should be heading back. I have some things to deliver to your friends.
Thanks for bringing me all the way out here.
It was good to visit.
Yeah, I really liked working with you and Georgette. If you want to come by again sometime, maybe you could bring Dalen with you next time. We could have another visit.
He softens a bit and smiles. If we can manage it, I would like to, yes. If you're still here. But something tells me your friends are not going to let you just stay for too long.
Yeah, hopefully.
You have your job for Mr. Goodlove, don't you? Georgette sighs heavily behind you.
He does need a gun soon.
I don't know about that. I'll see you. He turns around, steps out the door. Ox, you turn around to see Georgette kind of glaring up at you.
Well, it's not the two Mr. Goodloves. It's, you know about their
Spawn.
son. Yeah, I feel like that might be the choice of word that some people would use for him. He's not so bad. He came into possession of one of Sean's parts that Scar left with him, and so we sort of teamed up because I needed his help tracking her down, and one thing led to another, and I promised I'd make him a rifle.
What are you tracking her down for?
Well, it's not like I need a whole lot of help tracking her down when she'll just find me. I don't know what to do about her. She won't leave me alone.
You can see her grappling with a reply. She glances over her shoulder back at the bits and bobs of a machine that you've managed to cobble together overnight. Back to you. Let's finish this up. I wish I could help you more with Miss Scarlet. I think it'd be best if you let her fall behind you. But I know you're not going to do that.
Well, it wouldn't be us if we didn't try to outpace one another.
No. Get over here.
He nods and he'll get back up and get to work with her again.
She's quiet for a bit. She looks a bit troubled. She's a lot less communicative with instructions. This thing that you're building is very small, but very intricate. And eventually she kind of passes the work over to you. Her eye's not quite good enough to do the detail work that needs to be done. It takes a long time. And she doesn't really explain to you what it is that you're building, beyond what you already know. But eventually, when you have something that resembles this engine shape on the blueprint, though very small, she pauses, narrows her eyes and looks at it and looks to you. What do you want this to be?
Well, I've been trying to think about it, and it's so small it could fit in a pocket easily, which I guess that's where I want it. I've been thinking maybe I'll make it a lighter.
She grins. Yeah, I think that fits. Alright. You want to make that too?
Yeah.
She sets up the supplies, some paints as well, as you get to work on the lighter. I think it was probably earlier on in this engine building process that suddenly in the middle of the day you receive a message from Kian.
I'm assuming you're up. But sorry if I've woken you. We're safe. We're with the winds. Can you meet us in 2 weeks? Miss you.
He pauses in his work, and Georgette notices, and he starts thinking and sort of counting on his fingers of planning out his words as best as he can. And he will reply, in nowhere with Georgette, still working on a new project. Meet me over this way instead. Glad you're safe.
We can probably do that. I'll ask Leah. Glad you're safe. Lots to catch you up on, but we're all good.
Love you.
Miss you a lot.
25.
XOXO, wait, OX? OX?
It took me a freaking second.
She watches this one-sided interaction. So I'm gonna be hosting some more people, sounds like.
Well, I don't have to bring them inside if you don't want me to. I figure maybe we could try to stay at the old hideout.
No, I'd like to see him.
He gives a little cricket smile. It means you'd be meeting Henry Goodlove.
Sure does.
The spawn.
You're in danger.
Well, he's not the only one. I've got a few other friends with that group too. They're good people.
She purses her lips and visibly relaxes. Well, it wasn't the kid who did me dirty, so I'm sure he's just fine.
His daddies have a real nice house, and
Oh, I'm sure they do.
they did buy me some new clothes, so I can't complain too much.
You're not about to be bought with clothes, are you?
No, not that easily. I know they've done a lot of wrong. I think Henry's starting to understand and come to terms with it too.
I hope so. Let's get back to work. And you do? Oh, ye with the wandering winds.
Yeah.
How do you spend this journey towards Ox?
Yeah.
Journey?
Yeah, how do they feel about the new paint job? Seems like a weird word.
Does anyone notice? Because we're not going to point it out, right?
Lizzie is like, what the fuck?
Does anybody see it?
So, the rest of the journey goes oddly quietly for a journey through the oceans. The next day, when you all peek out of the windows or inspect the caravan when it comes to a stop, you no longer see the mycelium spreading across the sides and the roof of the carriage. But if you take a good look, you can see a few of the mushroom bodies sprouting from beneath it. Not on the ground, to be clear. Like on the underside of the carriage.
It still feels like
Yes,
a protection.
it still feels a little lighter. As time goes on, that feeling does start to fade some. Do you guys tell the rest of the winds about this?
That's a lot of explaining to do.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna fuck around just a little bit. Before they fade, one night Virgil will go outside and find a little spot where they're sprouting and just... He will try and feed it a drop of his blood. And just see what happens.
And is it enough?
Yeah, I don't know.
Nothing happens.
Okay.
The winds keep up a friendly energy amongst you all. They all make sure that you contribute to the well-being of the little family you found yourself in. So you do a lot of cooking, a bit of cleaning, but it's a friendly, warm environment.
Even from True?
True is a little softer than you usually see her, but perhaps not the friendliest of the bunch. Errol stays in their room. They're staying in Lachlan's room, and they stay there for the first week or so. And the rest of the winds seem to take this in stride. And Ophelia explains that they are well accustomed to traveling with people who've been through something terrible, and that they will not question why this is, and that they'll let Errol open up at their own pace. This does seem to be reflected in how the winds talk about them. They ask you all how Errol seems to be doing, and leave it alone aside from that. Ophelia spends a lot of time with Kian at Kian's side, often leaning up against them. At one point, Virgil, well, I should ask, are you going into Errol's room at any point?
If they let him in when he knocks.
Do you continue to knock when they don't let you in?
If he is not told directly to stop, yeah, he'll try once every day.
On the 5th day, the door does open.
Yeah, he goes in and he has 2 cups of tea in hand. One made the way Errol likes it. Plenty of honey.
He takes it. Did you finish the portrait you promised me?
Yes, here. He will pull out a piece of paper. It might be a bit more stiff than I am used to. I don't really do this, self-portraits, but I tried.
They take it and hold it up. Look at the portrait, look at you.
His shoulders kind of rise up a bit.
He nods.
Is it acceptable?
It is acceptable.
Okay.
Would you do one more?
Yeah, of who?
I do not know what I look like anymore.
Yeah, I can draw you a portrait. It is not too changed, you might be glad to hear. I can also, if you would like to see the...
No, I just want a portrait.
Okay. Yeah, do you mind if I work in here?
No, and I don't want you to flatter me or, you know what people are always doing when they do the portraits and just, what do you see?
I only ever draw what I see.
Errol sits down and sits up 3/4 to you.
You don't have to be so strict about it. I do my best work, I think, when people aren't paying much attention. I can just sit and talk.
Their shoulders fall a bit.
Oh no, in disappointment? Oh god.
No. Just in lack of posturing. Okay. That is not what I was prepared for. I don't have a point of conversation for us.
Well, do you want me to tell you a bit about the people we are with?
He nods.
Okay. I'll start with Ophelia. And he will just walk through like how he met her, what he thinks of her wonderful qualities.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he'll do that for each of the wins, and there is more detail on some than others. And he will talk briefly about the ones who aren't here, just so that Errol has a bit of context when he will eventually meet them. I don't think he is the best at remembering names, but he can describe them all very well.
He doesn't talk much, but he listens. And does stay, in the end, still sitting 3/4 to you at this spot, but without that classic shoulders back sort of typical pose of someone who's accustomed to having their portrait done. Are you finished?
Yeah, just about. He will pass it over. And it is, I think, a faithful replica. He has copied down the signs of stress that Earl wears, but there is also a bit of softness there too. Moments where they started to relax just a little. Yeah, not much different.
Right. Thank you. I just thought I should complete the collection. They reach over for the old journal they were using as a holder for the papers. Open it, tuck it inside. I am sorry I have nothing to pay you with, but your work is as good as ever.
Well, I've never once charged anyone for these, and I don't think I will be starting anytime soon. Certainly not for you.
But you could.
I think I would happily do these for free, for a friend. So, if you ever want another, you know where I am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You are dismissed.
Alright. He will get up and give a little bow and leave.
This is probably the morning after they speak with Lo. They find themselves up and about pretty early, a little restless, pretending to sleep in the carriage. And as soon as Ophelia goes to take her shift driving the carriage, he follows her up to sit beside. Hey.
She shuffles over a bit so you have more space.
It's alright. I join you for a bit up here?
Of course.
And they settle in for a while before kind of bashfully realizing, oh, I talked to Ox last night. Actually, can we meet them in somewhere? Georgette and or can you drop us off to meet them? In nowhere, actually, not somewhere. I'm forgetting where we're all going.
Is it nowhere? Is it somewhere?
Nowhere.
One moment. Ox, Sophia, where are you exactly? We're heading your way, wherever it is.
This is early in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Ox probably has his morning coffee in hand when he gets this unexpected message. Over in, nowhere, but closer to Slate's Edge than nowhere proper. It's, a little more south.
Kian, you see Ophelia nodding as Ox replies. Okay, just wanted to make sure you understand. Honestly, I just want to see him. So, yes, that sounds fine with me. We are... Honestly, Kian, we are so overwhelmed right now that it doesn't really matter where we go. So that's as good as anywhere.
There's always something to do.
Yes, it will be potentially a good idea to get away anyways.
I'm glad that's not gonna mess everything up. Because I did already kind of imply that we probably could.
It's alright.
How do you think Errol's gonna fit in here?
Her expression turns a bit more somber. Well, they told me quite a bit. And it sounds like they've been through something very difficult. So I don't think I know them yet. I can't say.
Do you think it was a bad idea?
What? Having them stay with us?
Yeah,
I hope not.
I think they might fit in pretty well. But it's hard to tell.
We'll be alright.
It's weird to see the winds changing so much so fast.
Not always the best with change, but once it is happening, it's alright.
Kim kind of laughs. Well, as you remember, I seem to overreact a little bit when big changes occur.
You weren't overreacting.
I wish I'd handled it differently.
We also could have handled it much better.
Probably should have told someone in person.
Well, you didn't. And we did a poor job of looking after you. It happened. And I am sorry for it. I'm glad you're here now.
Kim looks at their hands. I'm glad I am too.
Good.
You know, I considered it once. Or I thought I was gonna consider it. Asking him to change me.
Ooh.
But I hadn't really figured it all out yet. So I felt a bit like I shouldn't have been so upset in the moment.
Well, you didn't ask, so that's why you were upset. You don't have to make excuses for it.
It's not excuses. It's kind of hard to figure this all out.
There's nothing to figure out.
Well, there's a lot to figure out.
Well, nothing about this, I should say. There is certainly a lot to figure out vis-a-vis everything else, but Lachlan was afraid, and so we both acted immaturely about it. And you had just been through something very difficult, so you acted rashly about it. And it's done, and there's nothing to figure out. It's alright.
They settle back into the seat. It's hard to figure out how I feel about it. Oh, I just wanted to tell someone. decided to make it my mission to sort of fix all of this, but I think maybe that's where all the problems sort of arose. It's not really anything to fix, is it?
There's plenty to fix out there, actually, I think. But we should focus more on that than... We should focus more on that.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yes, that was quite eloquent just now, thank you.
And they lean in, and they look out into the oceans. And in an almost joking, but they point forward. So just to be clear, are we heading south right now? Or...
Yes. That reminds me, thank you. And she reaches into her pocket and pulls out a little ribbon, and as she ties it to your wrist, it jingles merrily, the little bells, just 3 of them sewn onto the bottom of it. I just feel like we're going to lose you if I don't do something about it, so here you go. And she gives your hand a little shake, and they jingle. Foolproof. Yes, we're going south.
you sure this isn't just like trying to warn you if I get a little bit too close? Speaking of, we got to figure out the whole...
She reaches into her pocket again, pulls out a small flask, and places it into your hand.
I think they take it and take a big sip.
God, don't do it in front of me.
God, I'm trying to be normal about this. It's not very nice for me either.
It's fine. And southward you go.
Go to your room and drink from your cup.
Henry, a few days in, you receive a message from the Sending Stone, Umbra's Sending Stone. Looking into Aurel Moore, murdered 5 people, no family to speak of. Concerned.
Any specifics on murders that makes more concerning?
Then a murder?
Yeah, like...
Was it like Grizzly?
Was aware of criminal piece, but many sorts of murder? Premeditated?
The next day, murder is typically bad.
that's my favorite piece of sparethecrying knowledge.
Perhaps ask your friend,
The murderer.
but with caution.
Thank you for the information. Do agree murder's bad.
Sorry.
Just curious, given prior mix-ups between he and Twin.
Next day. Reports say his sister died years ago. Also, reports say you've been kidnapped.
Assuming that's from leaving Dawning. But sister definitely not dead. Would be easier if she were.
Definitely, you say? Are you sure about that?
The next day is just, I'll let you know if anything else comes up. Be careful out there.
Thank you. You also, please be careful, especially regarding the Phoenix informant.
And those are the interactions you have with the Sending Stone for these couple weeks.
Well, of course Henry shares that information with the class. So, she's saying that he's associated with, of course, mentioned the criminal background, but also 5 murders, and saying that Scar's reported dead.
Well, honestly, that all sort of tracks. It fits at least with the story that Scar framed him for in somewhere.
I think we already know 2 people she probably framed him for.
Presumably more, but Sheriff Donna didn't give many details.
And Scar herself for the framing.
That, honestly, that's what I was thinking too. Because clearly she's not dead.
It didn't take.
Unless
But-
she is.
Yeah, didn't Umbra say she was going by another name back then? Could have been an alias. Or perhaps Scar is the alias, I'm not Sure.
True.
Well, we can bother Ox for the details when we meet up.
I was thinking that as well. Umbra's under the impression that he's dangerous, but... No,
No more than the rest of us, probably.
exactly.
When Kian used True Sight on Jacques and Scar, there wasn't anything weird about Scar besides
Does True Sight show magical items?
they cast Detect Magic and used the True Sight because they were trying to see what the magical effects were.
That lets you see invisible creatures, see in darkness, magical darkness, visual illusions.
So, like, if she was wearing a magical disguise.
Yeah.
Okay.
The banjo seemed to be doing something magically to
Yes.
Lachlan, but
She had a magical aura.
and also
Yes.
there was a similar thing happening with her and the fiddle.
Well, she also would have had a magical aura.
Okay. And I didn't get a kind of magic from that.
So it would be like a fae kind of magic, but it wasn't a spell. Like, it wasn't a
Yeah.
school.
Scar did appear to have something going on. So whether she faked her death or she did die and there's some weird resurrection type magic going on.
I suppose we could also gauge Orcs' reaction to the information.
Yeah, we'll just ask him.
Exactly. Unrelated, but apparently I've been reported kidnapped. I'm assuming it's the whole leaving Donning thing, and probably my parents. Shouldn't affect us, I don't think. We're in somewhere, but...
Well,
Oh,
I
I'm
mean-
in trouble.
we should probably do something about that when we enter Ireland.
Yeah, do you have a way to disguise yourself?
Lizzie can make you some paperwork. Do you have another name to go by? What would be a fun new name to try out?
I'll think on it. How does that sound?
I think you should let Lizzie as soon as possible. Should let Lizzie know as soon as possible.
It could also be a political move on the part of your parents.
Or it could be blackmail from Levain.
Whatever it is, Kian and I can disguise ourselves with magic, so as long as we can get you sorted, in theory, it should be fine.
I'll think on my plan for myself.
Yeah.
I promise.
Virgil, I know there was something you wanted to do.
Yeah. Just a general thing throughout the journey. Each night he would sit and tend the little potted bean plants. He would water them with shape water. And afterwards, I think he'll do a short meditation each night. He hasn't really been religious about it. It'll be a nightly thing for him. It'll become a ritual. And at the end of it, he will cast that healing spell on the gem. And one of these nights, he will come out of this trance with the gem in the middle of his palm, and he will pull out the necklace with the shard of Trillium's soul gem on it, and just look at it. I don't know if there is any part of you still here. I don't know how any of this works. But if you can hear me, I'm so sorry. I failed you more than once. And I wish I had known you better. Maybe enough to have stopped what happened, but this bit of you at least I can keep safe. And Trillium, if there's any part of you here, you help me to understand a bit. And he will sit cross-legged with the shard in his hand. And I would like to, for the first time, try Grim Psychometry. His eyes will be closed for a while, and when they open there will be a soft blue light filling them. And he will meditate on the gem.
Roll an intelligence history check. You do have advantage.
Yes. Okay. 26.
Virgil, you close your eyes, and you find yourself in the idyllic woods, and you remember that this is where the attack that killed Triumph Reign occurred. And you see yourself holding the gem, but it's whole, and your skin is the pale green of a tiefling. You, Triumph, are sitting further away from the rest, and you lift the gem and smash it as hard as you can against a stone. And you look back at it, and there's a small crack in it, like a spider web. And you try again, and you smash it against the rock, and look at it again, and the web has crawled slightly up, but it's still just a hairline fracture. You try again, and again, and again, and it continues to just barely affect it. Eventually there's a call from far away, Sterling's voice telling everyone to gather. And your hands are shaking. There's a small cut from scraping against the stone across the back of your knuckles. And there are fractures up and down this stone, but it's still whole when you put it back in its place and give up and return to the group. There's another flash, and you're fighting, and you hear it shatter, finally. Your vision dims for a time, and you're a hungry sort of thing, and you can feel that you're missing something important. And you see flashes of blood and your own hands, and Commander Nico holding them. And the landscape changes, and you see the mountains of dawning again. From the other side, the sun is setting in the wrong place, and you're just a piece of what you should be. And you turn to yourself.
Okay. He reaches immediately for Blossom, and will just hold her to steady himself. And he is too scared to try that again with Rowan's gem.
Blossom curls up against you, purrs loudly and reassuringly.
What the fuck?
I didn't know you were gonna get Grim Psychometry.
Dad? What the fuck?
Did anyone else have any plans for your ride?
Kieran is happy to have busy work, and he finds himself often working next to or around Annan, despite the somewhat oppressive atmosphere exuded by True. Whenever anyone gets close to Annan, he feels drawn to him.
Kira, Annan, he also seems to be pretty drawn towards you. Like, he finds a connection with you that he hasn't really managed to find with the other members of the Winds in the carriage. He starts out as fairly quiet, but still warm and friendly, and lights up and opens up very quickly once you start sharing your passions about learning about history and magic, dogs, codex, whatever it is that you want to speak about, he does as well. He shares a little bit about his childhood with True, but mostly just likes to listen to you and ask questions. And you are able to become fast friends with him. The Winds, again, they're both smaller and bigger than they are accustomed to being, with some of the group staying back in Enosh and quite a few new people here. They often, glance over at you all and sort of seem pleased that the randos and newbies are getting along.
Probably, it takes 2 weeks to get dogs.
Yeah. Most nights out on the carriage as you travel, if Ophelia is on driving duty, relieving Lizzie of his typical work shift, she does invite Kian to join her. No pressure, but you can kind of tell that she's hoping for some company, despite the fact that the carriage is more crowded than usual. She seems to want your specific company, especially.
Kian takes her up on the offer most nights, as they don't have much to do without sleeping, and they don't want to just sit in the Winds room silently as everyone else sleeps. So they spend many nights on the roof of the carriage, or besides Ophelia if she drives. If there's ever a moment where she needs sleep at night, they'll offer to drive, although I don't think that would go particularly well.
Yeah, I mean, they have shifts figured out for... Everyone gets enough sleep on the carriage. So she's like, oh, no, it's all right. You're guests for now, so you get to have a special treatment. But, Lachlan always got bored, so I assumed you might as well.
Yeah, it's different. There's too much time. It's really long. Nights are really long.
She nods. I don't have quite the exact same experience, but I know a bit of what you mean. People have to sleep so much.
It's not quite twice the amount of time, but it's almost... It's wild.
You'll become accustomed to it, I'm sure. It's all new. Is there something on your mind?
There's a lot of things on my mind. There's always a lot of things on my mind. You've been spending an awful lot of time with Errol, haven't you?
She nods, sort of smiles. Yes, well, I figured they could probably use some company.
I always kind of wonder if I should go in there, but I don't really know how much they appreciate it. I can't really get a good read on them.
That's fair. It can be a bit prickly. I'm sure he wouldn't mind a visit if you asked.
Maybe I'll see if... There's a few things I kind of like to ask them about. I'll try that.
She gives a thoughtful sort of hum and looks up at the sky. It's a cloudy night, so there is a sort of overcast, dim light that kind of surrounds you all from the moon shining partially through the clouds. She kind of squints around. It's hard to tell if she's thinking about what you're saying or if she's thinking about, keeping watch in the surroundings. Then eventually she turns back to look at Kian. What sort of things are you planning to ask them about?
Well, I don't... It's not like I don't... It's not about fairness or whatever, but they've really got a good handle on the whole bat situation so fast. And... I don't know, every time I get stuck. Wondered if they had any pointers.
I think that's probably safe territory.
Is there things I shouldn't be asking them? I'm sure there's probably plenty of things I shouldn't be asking them. What do you talk about?
We just talk. Or I just work on projects. And they read. Sometimes we talk about, back home. He's visited Sweetus, it sounds like, but not actually lived there. So there's some curiosity. So there's plenty of gossip, family gossip, which I have not participated in a long time. So that's a bit fun. And he's asked me a couple of questions about, the living situation and our plan for him. Logistics. I don't think they particularly enjoy talking about it, but it has to be done.
I'm glad they have a place here. It's kind of weird, though. Seeing someone else in his room.
I know.
I think he'd understand, but...
I know he would.
Still a part of me worries that he'd be upset.
Yes, I think he would understand. I don't think he would like it. And, I think Errol might sort of sense that.
There's not like a way to... Who made the carriage? I don't think I ever asked about that.
Fuck if I know. I didn't really invent this place.
So just like this? When you met Lachlan?
She nods. Yes. I mean, I know a couple of tricks here and there, but nothing quite this impressive.
Yeah, I never kind of thought to question it. I just accepted that it was like this. Do you think we could figure out a way to make another room?
She glances back the carriage behind you. If you find a way, then do let me know. But it's not something I'm capable of. And, honestly, my plate's a bit full at the moment.
I mean, it probably shouldn't be my first priority either, but I'll keep an ear out. Who knows, traveling the world sometimes you get good information.
You've got friends in high places, sort of, now. And enemies, from what I understand, but you can learn from them too.
No longer friends in the highest of places, but
You have missed a good love.
it's true. Also, I thought you should know,
God, those words strike fear in my heart. Yes, go on.
how do I say this? It's a good thing,
Okay.
but there might be some sort of, like, magical mushrooms growing on the carriage.
Sorry? She glances back at the carriage.
I don't know if you can really see them, and I don't know how permanent it is. But have you noticed it feels kind of lighter?
She kind of narrows her eyes. Yes, I assumed that was due to some member of your party, but I couldn't quite logic out how that was working, considering we have now 2 vampires.
So mushrooms.
Okay.
Listen, I don't know how it works exactly. It's a really long story. I could go... I think maybe it's best if... just accept that it's the mushrooms doing it.
Alright. Where are they?
You really can't see them anymore, can you?
They're underneath.
Oh. I think next time we stop we could... I think they're all kind of underneath.
Alright. I'd at least like to know where they are.
Yeah, it might be good to keep an eye on those.
Yes.
Like I said, I thought you should know.
Be careful with mushrooms, Kian. Some of them don't have the best effect. I just want to make sure you're aware of that.
I've never... Mushrooms? No dangerous mushrooms. I don't...
Oh, there are dangerous ones, dear. I'm so glad I have had the chance to tell you this. Actually, maybe this is a blessing in many ways. Anyways, thank you for letting me know.
They're just little guys.
Yes. There's a hint of a furrow to her brow as she looks back to her path ahead, but
No.
it's not deep.
Okay.
She has some concern about the mysterious mushrooms that are growing under the...
Fair. And I do think she should know. I don't know. That's pretty much what Kian has to say. They want to be friends with Errol. And I think because of this, they pay extra attention. Just like watching Ophelia and Errol interact, and Virgil and Errol interact, and
Do you roll an insight check?
yeah. Oh, buddy. 4. No, it's not very good.
Well, okay, actually, I'm going to give you an advantage because I think Ophelia is trying to help you.
11.
Okay, that's
Better.
good. I think, Kian, what you pick up on in general on this journey is that, like, Errol does not take well to reassurance. Like I think you notice, like, if Errol's upset about something, Virgil or Ophelia will, like, comfort them through kind of complaining with them or, like, sort of ribbing each other. I think that's I think that's, like, an 11. Maybe that's, like, the one kind of specific thing that you can see and realize that that's not how you were necessarily handling things with them. You're like, oh, I could the way of comforting them seems like very hard to access. Like that seems like a layer that's too deep, but the sort of ribbing them and like complaining with them is like a lot easier.
Yeah.
And also just before you leave Ophelia to go to sleep that night, she tells you, I think it might be nice for them to hear from you that it's all right that they're staying in Lachlan's room. It seems, I don't know, I'm having a hard time helping them feel at home here. And maybe that would help. Because it is very much his, Lachlan's.
Yeah, I can do that. Maybe, I'll try.
She gives you a little grin and a big, strong hug, and then goes off to bed.
Keen goes to bed,
Well.
or not to bed. Goes to watch the clouds pass over the carriage, and the trees pass behind them. Probably like 8 days in or something. Keen will knock on Lachlan or Errol's door. And if they're let inside, they ask them to help them learn how to be a better bat.
Errol laughs. Yes, it helps a lot actually with the, I don't know what you want to call it, eating problem, because you are very small.
That's a really good point.
It doesn't stop it, but it helps.
I never thought about it that way. I just have a hard time not being a bat.
You have a hard time not being a bat?
Once I become a bat,
Yes, that is the problem. Just embrace it.
embrace being a bat.
Yes. If you worry too much about being a bat, you're always thinking about being a bat, and then you cannot stop being a bat.
Okay.
But if you let yourself just be, and you are a bat,
Keen is a bat.
perfect. Errol is a bat.
And I think Keen is a bat for a good portion of
When
the
they're,
remainder of the journey.
when they're both bats, can they communicate?
I think they can communicate kind of like bats communicate. Like, they don't literally talk to each other, but they can understand each other's signals.
Okay.
I can speak with animals.
French bug.
I love the
That's Errol's voice when they're a bat.
I'm certain there are moments in which Keen is requested or needed. How easy is it for them to turn back?
Would you like to roll with advantage, because you have Errol's guidance? Arcana, maybe?
12.
It takes a bit for you to catch on. You don't take to the transformation quite as easily as Errol did, but with encouragement, you manage.
Excellent.
There is certainly a day close to the end of your journey where Ophelia very excitedly brings you into Lachlan's room with Errol's permission, and she has a few dresses laid out. She asks you to please pick one and tailors it to fit you very excitedly. Errol shows interest in one as well. A deeper red, like long flowing, like ruffled skirt, and some embroidery along the low cut collar. And as he's sort of holding in his fingers, looking over, she forces him to stand up. And by the end of the journey, there are two very perfectly tailored dresses, the two of you. You can decide what yours looks like. You can describe it next session if you want to think about it.
I will.
And of course, she says, if there's any additions you want, just let me know. If we can do it in the time allotted, of course. But I'm not really doing that much when I'm not driving. And it gets boring sometimes when I'm driving, so I can do whatever. And if anyone else, and to the rest of you, if anyone else wants one, just let me know.
Keen gives her the biggest hug.
She gives the biggest hug in return.
And I think does not take it off for the remainder of the day, once it's done.
Yeah. And after about 2 weeks, the air is now drier. The nights feel shorter with the open sky. I think they'll go to Slate's Edge. Ox, what do you tell them? Like, how do you arrange this meeting? What landmark do you use?
Close to the railroad tracks. As they start getting to, the edge of town.
Okay.
There could be, like, you know, where the railroad tracks, like, split so they can, like, reload.
Late in the evening, when dusk is just painting the sky, those of you who are peering out of the caravan, whether you're on the roof again or just looking out the window or in the driver's seat next to Lizzie, you see in the vast, empty oceans the lone figure of a young gunslinger artificer elf you haven't seen in some time.
Marigold flies so fast as a little falcon. She'll go up and give.
He definitely rewards her with some scritches as, she lands.
She's closely followed by a much smaller bird. Ophelia takes inspiration from Kian and sends Felly, the hummingbird familiar, after her.
So then Delilah, and then Blossom.
And then Coda.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, all of them.
And not too far behind the birds, you all arrive. Lizzie pulls the carriage to a stop. I found your friend. You all hop off?
Yeah.
Good to see you again, Ox.
Yeah, likewise. I missed all of you.
It's been. We were a bit worried when you just disappeared. I'm glad you got some stuff figured out.
Are you doing all right?
Yeah, I'm feeling a little better, I think. It was nice to go home for a little while.
It might relieve you to hear that we're not working with Navain or anything.
Yeah, that is relieving. I've been worried about you. All of you.
I'll have to sneak around Dawning if we ever need to return there for the next little bit, but...
That was an inevitability.
We did get up to some other dumb shit.
Well, it wouldn't be our group if we didn't get into some dumb shit, would it?
Oh, yeah. Dumb shit is probably what I would say to describe kidnapping a good love, so...
I'm not kidnapped.
I think we
Adult
do
napped.
smart things, too, sometimes.
What's this about Henry being kidnapped?
Oh, no, that's the official story, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shall we get out of the open? Is there a good place to...
Yeah, we should, head toward Georgette's. Henry, I might warn you before we go over. She is a little hostile towards good loves.
She and Ophelia are going to get along very well then.
Well,
I'm sure.
Ophelia is peering out the door.
Ox sort of sees Ophelia peering out.
She opens the door and runs over. This is stupid. And she runs over to Ox and just wraps him in the biggest hug and glances over at all of you. What are you doing?
I don't know.
We're going
She gestures like towards Ox.
Okay, let's just get in the carriage.
No! I mean, you should all be embracing.
Oh, I understand. I did not read that correctly. Yeah. Kuhn joins in the inevitable group hug.
Yeah, sorry, between the two of us, it might be a bit cold.
That's fine with me.
Okay.
I'm pretty warm.
Yeah, Ox gives them a big hug in return.
Henry?
Snuggles in.
Henry will strategically hug Virgil to be included in the group hug.
Right. You're big spooning. Got it.
I think he'll give Henry a playful little, not a punch, but sort of like a swipe against the cheek. Playfully.
There's a little bit of flinching, but he's not going anywhere.
Sorry, Blossom is a lion now. She's still her.
A small lion or like a big lion?
I mean, she's decent
You know,
size.
small for a lion and big for a familiar.
Alright, yeah. Keep Orna company.
Ophelia disentangles herself from this group hug. Let's head back in and you can meet her and we can get going wherever you need to go.
Yeah.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, lead the way, Ox.
And Ophelia clambers up, holds out a hand for Ox to sit next to her.
I climb up on Orna.
Keen climbs onto the rooftop.
Kirit will join you on the roof.
Then Henry will join on the bench.
Then Ox, with your friends back with you and sitting grounded behind you, you lead the way to the piece of your soul you've left behind. And that is where we'll end our session for tonight.
That was a hell of a way to phrase that.
Yeah, we're really
Don't worry about it.
Buddy,
chopping these things up.
what'd you build?
Been building up a wall, laying mortar onto brick. Been building up a wall, 'cause you just make me sick. When that wall's between you and me, that's the way it should always be. And I've been filling up the sea, mixing water in with salt. I've been filling up the sea, 'cause this was all your fault. When we stand on separate shores, I'll simmer just a little more. Always fighting over something these days, crying over nothing either way. You've been building up a railroad, laying rails and stakes and wood. You've been building up a railroad, like it'll do you any good. When that train is on the tracks, we can put all this at our back.